Okay, guys, starting it off today, we have Yoink, a 1 mana spell that discovers a hero power and it costs 0, and you get to use it twice and then it swaps back. Now, this is a decent card, but I don't think it's so good that it's going to be like an auto include in every deck. So, Dream, you hit Warlock every time because Warlock is just the best class, a hero power in the game, and every deck is good if like you just put the Warlock hero power on it, right? But the only problem with this card is it's essentially 1 mana to do bad stuff because you're usually like weaving in a hero power when you don't have stuff to do, and especially in Rogue with a tempo oriented style of a deck, they don't really want to use their resources potentially getting a hero power that they want. Now in Rogue, I would say maybe Paladin is good because you're developing a 1/1 minion or even getting a totem, but all in all, I don't think Yoink has a huge power spike because even though it's 0 mana, it's almost like your hero power is 0 mana anyways because you're doing it when you have 2 mana left over that you're just gonna float anyways. So Yoink, it's not doing it for me. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. Another card that seems pretty niche that I don't think is gonna be great. No Fin can stop us. So it's a Murloc card. Murloc cards are always cool. Their arts are always sick. So 3 mana, no Fin can stop us. Give your minions +1/+1. Give your Murloc an extra +1/+1. Now, if you end up having this huge board of Murlocs, you're giving your Murlocs +2/+2 for 3 mana, and that's potentially good. But in the meta right now, we don't have anything that pushes a Murloc Shaman in the slightest. Now, you could argue that, hey, this is going to help push it, but we haven't seen Murloc Shaman in a while, and I don't think this one card is going to do it for the deck. It might be played in some other like board centric wide shaman deck where just buffing your douche by +1/+1 is good. But we do have the 1 mana spell that overloads you for 1 that buffs your entire board by +1/+1. And in a sense that's like a 2 mana card. So I don't see why you'd run No Fin Can Stop Us. We're just gonna move on to the next one. So Oil Rig Ambusher. So here's a good one. A 4 mana 4/4 rogues minion. Battlecry deal 2 damage. If it entered your hand this turn, deal 4 damage instead. Now, this is really good, I think. So, in my mind, at base, it's an SI7 agent that you don't have to combo, and that's super strong. Now, you could make the argument that it's not the same because you can coin out SI7 agent on 2 and then use its ability, and this is always coming out on 4. But normally, if you don't have a coin and you're not coining out SI7 agent, you're playing like a 1 mana card to combo the SI7 agent off. So you can argue that SI7 agent is pretty much a 4 mana card, anyways. So now you just have it in the form of a battle cry, and then it has the plus side of if it enters your hand this turn, you deal 4 damage instead. And this damage could also go face. So if we're playing like an aggro mid range build of the deck, then this is probably going to be included just because it has that reach face and it's not a card that relies super on combo like SI7 agent, or you might just end up be running both and doing some really good tempo plays. We'll keep going. So Kokar Pack Runner. Kokar Pack Runner, 2 mana 2/3. After you cast a spell, summon a 1/1 hyena with rush. Now, this is very resemblant of Violet Teacher from back in the day when it was ran a lot. It doesn't see much of any play in today's current meta game, even in Wild. Um, but it is definitely an inherent buff. So it's cheaper, right? It's a 2 mana 2/3. 2 mana 2/3 stat lines are usually pretty good. And you're summoning a 1/1 hyena with rush. And hyenas in the past have always had the beast tag. So you're summoning a 1/1 beast with rush. So you can find the synergies that make the deck better if you add like give beast something. But the main struggle with the card is you still have to have a lot of supporting spells, and Druid isn't super spell heavy. We have seen them releasing some spell eccentric type cards. We have the 5 mana guy that draws a 1, 2, and 3 cost spell. We do have the new rank spell. And I guess if you wait the combo Kokar on like turn 8 with the 6 mana worth of spells you just drew and this, it might do something. Or even just playing it as a 2 mana 2/3, hope it survives, follow it up with a good spell. Then you're netting a 1/1 with rush every time. So I don't think it's the greatest card. I don't think it's going to see much play, but I definitely think it's a card to be experimented with, and it might be better over time when we figure out decks that can run them good. So next up we have Living Seeds. It's a rank spell, so y'all know how ranks work by now. So rank 1, we have Draw a Beast reduces cost by 1. Then when you rank it up at 5 mana, you're going to have Draw a Beast reduces cost by 2. And then when you hit the 10 mana slot, you get the rank 3, Draw a Beast and reduces cost by 3. Now I think this is a really good card because if we're playing any decks like normal Druid that ramp up and want everything discounted, this is a perfect card for it. A lot of times with Ramp Druid, if they don't have some way to ramp on turn 2, then more often than not, they're just hero powering, gaining 1 armor, dealing 1 damage to your face, just really doing nothing. So now that they have a card that they can potentially draw a beast from their deck, reduces cost by 1 to get on the board even 1 turn earlier, is a pretty solid card. And then late game, it just gets better because once you hit 5 mana, it's 2 mana discounted by 2, so you're tutoring for free. Because if you reduced the cost that you did to play it, which was 2 mana, and you're reducing the cost to the beast by 2, it's pretty much you're gonna just get a good beast, right? But then if you end up hitting 10 mana, which Ramp Druid does a lot, you're spending 2 mana, you're gonna get a beast, and then you're also gonna get 1 discount on it because I'm keeping the idea that, hey, I'm playing 2 card for this 2 mana for this spell. So in that aspect, I think Living Seeds is gonna be good. Now with the Druid decks right now that summon a lot of beasts from their deck, this doesn't fit in too well because you want the beast to be in your deck. But we have seen some good beast. The 7 mana guy that rush or frenzy, then he turns into a big taunt. In my mind, I think it's going to be a good card. So let's see what we got up next. So Flurry, we got another rank one. I don't know why, but they always put all the rank cards beside each other. 0 mana, Flurry. 0 mana card, has potential. Freeze a random enemy minion. Once you hit 5 mana, you're going to be freezing 2 random enemy minions. And then at 3, you're going to be dealing or freezing 3 enemy minions. Now, I think this is good. It's not necessarily Frost Nova, right? Because Frost Nova would freeze the entire board. It's not Blizzard because you're not dealing any damage. But the fact that it's a 0 mana free stuff, it seems really good. Usually, if you're playing it as a rank 1 spell, there's not a lot of stuff you're going to be wanting freezing anyways. So more often than not, you're going to wait until you're getting into the rank 2 and rank 3 builds of the deck. And that would let you freeze 2 or 3 minions. And we do have a card that was revealed, or not revealed, but it came out in the mini set. And it's a 1/3 spell burst that you deal 3 damage to frozen minions. So if you're playing like a freeze kind of control deck, right, then slotting in the 1/3 with this, freeze 3 random enemies when you're on like 10 mana, freeze 2 if you're on 5 mana, then you're also going to be able to deal 3 damage to them. I don't know how reliable that's going to be, but I definitely think as a 0 mana freeze, it's going to find its way into a deck just to slow stuff down. It's very rare that we have freeze cards that aren't played. They have to be really bad for them not to be played. So moving on, we have Mark of the Spike Shell. So Mark of the Spike Shell is a 2 mana, give a minion +2/+2. If it has taunt, add a copy of that card to your hand. Now, we've seen a lot of the Mark cards. This one, it doesn't give you an inherent good stat buff. It's just 2 mana, 2/2. If there's like a potential 1 mana taunt that's kind of strong, following this up on it seems pretty good because you're also going to add the 1 mana taunt back. Maybe next turn you do another 2 mana play that 1 mana taunt card. But in a huge shell, this doesn't seem all that powerful. I could see it being good late game if you play a big beast or just a big taunt minion in general. Give it +2/+2. It gets you the value of having that other taunt minion. But what I don't like about the card, and I don't like a lot of cards that are like this, is it's super reliant on a specific thing, right? I like cards to be standalone strong for the most part. And giving them card 2 mana +2/+2 isn't really strong. So for that reason, I just don't think it's going to be a great card. So we're just going to keep on going. So Priest of the Anashi. So this card, I'm very iffy about it. So 5 mana, taunt, battle cry. If you've restored health this turn, gain +3/+3. Now, we did talk about a warrior card in the last video that was a 5 mana 8/8, and this is the same thing. It's going to be 5 mana 8/8 if you can trigger its battle cry. But the only thing is, to restore health this turn, you either have had to play a card that can restore you health, had a card on board that maybe has a death rattle that heals you, or use your hero power to heal your own face. So if we're going with the most reliable way of not having to depend on a lot of other cards, or the idea of maybe having something up from the following turn with a death rattle, then you're probably just going to hero power your face or hero power a minion. And then at that point, this is pretty much a 7 mana 8/8. And I don't think a 7 mana 8/8 is super strong. So for that aspect, I think it's going to be played, but I don't think it's going to be like an auto include in every deck because it can be kind of slow. Next up, we have Bloodshard Bristleback. Bloodshard or Bristleback is a 3 mana 3/3, so average stats. Lifesteal, so that's good. Lifesteal is always great. Battle Cry, if your deck contains 10 or fewer cards, deal 6 damage to a minion. Now, the restriction that this only deals 6 damage to a minion, I think makes this card not super good. Because usually, if you have 10 or fewer cards in your deck, that's when you need to start at least turning the corner and trying to kill your opponent. And if it was 10 or fewer cards, deal 6 damage wherever you wanted, then I think this would be a decent card. 1 mana less than Fireball, you're doing Fireball damage, getting a 3/3, but it has a huge restriction of, hey, I have to have 10 cards or less in my deck. But the fact that it has to deal damage to a minion does allow you to potentially gain the board back in your favor, because it is a 3 mana card, so you can follow it up with like a 7, 6, 5 mana card, try to swing it back into your possession. But I don't think it's great, and a 3 mana 3/3 with lifesteal, if you play it on curve, you don't care about the lifesteal because it's too early in the game, and you're pretty much just looking at a 3 mana 3/3 that doesn't really do too much. But we do have another card, Wren, which is a 4 mana shadow spell. Deal 5 damage to all minions. Destroy a card in your deck for each minion you killed. So 4 mana deal 5 is an insane AoE card. We know that Demon Hunter has a 5 mana deal 4, and that card's really good too. It usually clears up a lot. So 1 mana less, 1 damage more, but the restriction is you destroy a card in your deck for each killed. Now, this does help you with the Bristleback over here because it gets him to the 10 or fewer cards in your deck a lot faster. But this isn't really amazing, because if you're playing a deck that wants to do something, right? Like, say you build a deck on Bristleback, and Bristleback is, hey, I want 10 cards or less in my deck. I can use my Bristlebacks to get me back in the game by killing minions later on and stuff. Well, you don't really ever know what you're going to hit. So what happens if you have this late game, like into the board push card that helps you in the game, but you're soul rending it away on accident? So in that aspect, I don't think you're going to play Soul Rend. I don't think any class or any deck in Warlock is going to play it, because I think it's going to be too risky to be played. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that card. I don't think it's going to be played in the slightest. Now, this next card, though, Shaman Romay. So she's super strong. One, I like her art. She looks really sick. 3 mana 1/3. Whenever you cast a shadow spell that costs 1 or more, add a copy of it to your hand for 0. Now, we don't know everything that's going to be shadow cards, but just the fact that she lets you take a card and get a free card is really good. In Shaman, we do have a 2/3 spell burst that adds a copy of the spell that you just cast back to your hand. And for 1 more mana, you're pretty much getting the same effect, but now it costs 0 mana, the card that you're getting back. And the reason it's worded that way is obviously it couldn't cost more than 1 mana or 1 mana, because then she would just repeat every card that you casted over and over. So in my mind, it's going to be really good. So I'm pretty sure the Warlock card that destroys a minion and you gain health, gosh, what is 6 mana card, destroy an enemy minion, restore 3 health. That card, it's going to be a shadow card. So if we can kill an enemy minion for 5 mana and we get it back as a 0 mana card, it might just make that card actually good and be played. So just the fact that she gives you this inherent value consistently is super strong. Not to add that if you're at like a 10 mana, if you're at like a 10 mana game state, then you play her, you still have 7 mana left over. And then with this 7 mana, you can cast like 3 spells, right? And these 3 spells all come back to your hand for 0 mana. And it can be super board swingy. And that's about it on this. I think this is a 5-star card, man. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. It's going to be played. And then to round off this video, we do have Grimoire of Sacrifice. Now, this card, I can see it being pretty decent. So we have had Nerubian Egg revealed, so we're getting some Death Rattle synergies that aren't super horrible. And this is destroy a friendly minion, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. Now, we don't have access to Galakron anymore, so having the cheap imps off of your invokes to do a lot of your destroy your board stuff isn't going to be the greatest. But if we do get more Death Rattle synergies, right, where we can potentially destroy our minion, deal 2 damage to all theirs, and get a bonus from it, it might not be bad. And there is a world where maybe like an aggro Warlock plays this as a 1-mana card to destroy their card, get a bonus, get through like enemy taunts or enemy counter pressure and stuff like that. So I think Grimoire of the Sacrifice is going to be a good card. I think even in control decks are going to find room for it because it's a cheap AoE. 1 mana deal 2 is a strong card. You do have to give up a card, but it's not horrible. And now we're going to go from front to back and say playable, not playable, time will tell. I think Grimoire of Sacrifice, playable. I think Tasmin is going to be in almost every Warlock deck. Soul Rend is unplayable. Bloodshard, I think only time will tell with this because in a control deck, you're not mad to have a 3-mana 3/3 lifesteal, late game, kill a minion. So I'm going to go only time will tell on that. Priest, only time will tell on this one. I don't think it's the greatest. I don't think Mark of the Spike Shell is going to be played. Flurry, I think it's going to be played. Living Seeds, I also think it's going to be played. Kokar Pack Runner, I don't think this is going to find its way into a deck. I think it's going to be messed around with day 1, day 2, but I don't think it's going anywhere. Oil Rig Ambusher, it's definitely going to be in a deck. Pretty sure 80% of the rogue decks that are going to be made up in this next expansion are going to be running Oil Rig. Moving on, Nothing Can Stop Us. I don't think it's getting played in the slightest. I don't think you'll see it. When you do see it, it might be some randomly generated card. Yoink, I think Yoink is going to be experimented with over like maybe more than the first 2 days because I feel like there's going to be people that are super sold on this card like, oh, it's so good, I got Warlock, I got free cards. But I feel like as time goes on, it's going to be one of those cards that people will realize that it's not the greatest because it doesn't help you do any one game plan and you can't consistently rely on what it gives you. That being said, that's the end of this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do your thing. All right, have a great one.